In just one night, 3 U.S. B-2 bombers wiped out the Houthi command post with a precision stealth attack. This was not just a military mission, but a declaration of psychological power and cutting-edge technology. Sign up now to discover true stories about the strategy and the limitless stature of the U.S. Navy. At 2:13 a.m. on August 25, 2025, in a fortified bunker deep underground in Yemen, 11 senior Houthi commanders were in an urgent meeting to discuss the war situation. Just 1 minute later, the entire command post was wiped out in absolute silence. Not a single alarm, not a single radar warning, not a single timely response. Just silence, then a flash of light and death falling from the sky. That was the opening moment of Operation Crimson Vortex, the most precise, swift, and devastating air campaign in the history of the U.S. Air Force. Six B-21 Raiders, the most advanced stealth aircraft, entered Yemeni airspace undetected, carrying hypersonic AGM-183 AARRW missiles, capable of reaching speeds of Mach 20. They did not simply destroy infrastructure. They destroyed the trust, networks, and morale of the entire enemy military system. In less than 9 minutes, more than 84 strategic targets were leveled, from long-range missile launchers, camouflaged chemical weapons laboratories, to underground command centers built with Iranian support. But what shocked the world was not just the speed or power of the weapons, but the perfection of the coordination between intelligence, stealth technology, and electronic warfare.
Vegas roll now.
It was within limits, 20027, and that was at time 55, so it's staying pretty strong.
Each strike was confirmed by satellites, RQ-180 drones, and electronic signals. There was no margin for error. This was no longer war in the old sense. This was America's new warning. We don't need occupation. We just need precision. We don't need bloodshed. We just need timing. And that night, the world didn't hear the footsteps of American troops. It just felt a chilling message from above. We see you before you know you're seen. Operation Crimson Vortex didn't just hit the target. It hit the heart of every enemy watching from afar. Behind the Crimson Vortex's supersonic strikes is more than just physical force. It's a perfect symphony of military attack, cyber warfare, and invisible surveillance from the sky. Before the missiles left the barrel, before the B-21 Raider even cut through the stratosphere, the RQ-180 Sentinel Ghosts had been circling silently for weeks over Yemen, leaving no trace, undetected. These drones don't just record. They observe behavior. They record meeting times, movements. That data is analyzed by artificial intelligence, combined with electronic signals from pre-installed Cyber Viper devices in neutral areas, disguised as lampposts, telecommunications equipment, even civilian Wi-Fi stations. These nerve nodes have tapped into the entire Houthi military communication system, decoding the signal flow and building a living map of the enemy command network. But even more sophisticated is the ability to shut down the entire defense system in a matter of seconds. 12 minutes before the first missile is launched, Cyber Viper units launch an electronic blackout. The internet disappears, radios stop working, radars are jammed. Commanders cannot communicate with radars. Radars cannot talk to anti-aircraft guns. In that moment, a modern army becomes a silent crowd. When real bullets fall, the enemy system is blind, deaf, and completely paralyzed. And if the Yemeni radar detects anything, it is the digital decoys fired by the drone simulator, precisely simulating the thermal image and radar signature of a real missile. The Crimson Vortex was not a land grab, but a strike at the enemy's operational structure, physical and mental. In less than 10 minutes, the entire Houthi chain of command was severed like a severed nerve. There were no signals, no orders, no coordination. Mid-level officers on the front lines had no idea who was alive, no idea where the attack was coming from, and no idea how to react. The collapse came not from weapons, but from panic. Units began to receive conflicting orders, some believing that Iran was under attack, others believing that American troops had landed. In that moment, the enemy didn't need to be shot. It disintegrated from within. The US didn't need to send troops into every village, didn't need to control every inch of land. It just needed to strike at the center of the will. The scariest thing is not the bombs exploding, but the feeling of not knowing who betrayed, who provided information, who can be trusted anymore. After the campaign, the Houthis are not talking about reconstruction, but about who leaked the secret meeting location. It is psychological warfare at the highest level, where the target is not just infrastructure, but internal trust, unity, and loyalty. In the 21st century, victory is not about numbers. It is about making the enemy doubt themselves. At 5:47 a.m., more than 40 Qayyam-2 missiles and dozens of Shahed-136 suicide drones soared into the skies over Yemen, targeting U.S. bases in Djibouti and warships in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. But the U.S. was waiting. On the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Aegis system went into combat mode within seconds. SM-6 interceptors were launched instinctively. On land, the THAAD system, and even the Iron Beam, a new generation of laser weapons, came into the light for the first time, shooting down drones like burning butterflies in the night. Each attack from the Houthis was neutralized with near absolute precision. Only 3 missiles made it through. 1 caused minor damage, 1 missed the target, and 1 exploded prematurely at sea. But while the Houthis called it a victory, observers understood this was not a response, but a sign of desperation. Infrastructure was destroyed. Command systems were in disarray. And strikes had no clear targets. In contrast, the US response was a symphony of modern warfare, where satellite data, naval radar, cyber warfare, and laser technology all blended into a strategy of absolute defense. Attackers shoot in the dark. Defenders see everything. The Crimson Vortex was not the result of a decisive night, but the culmination of more than a year of infiltration, collection, and programming in the dark. Before any missile had left the barrel, the US intelligence system had quietly built a vivid map of the entire Houthi power structure. At an altitude of nearly 20,000 meters, the RQ-180 Sentinels, shadowless ghosts, continuously circled the skies over Yemen, leaving no trace, recording every heat signature, every moving convoy, every secret meeting late at night. In parallel, cyber vipers, pre-installed in neutral territory, disguised as civilian objects, quietly collected encrypted signals, determined the location of servers, communication frequencies, and the path of command information. Data from satellites, drones, electronic signals, all cross-referenced with intelligence from domestic spies, disgruntled engineers, defectors, and supply chain workers recruited by the CIA and Mossad in Oman. And then, 12 minutes before the attack began, the entire Yemeni military communications network went dark, as if someone had flipped a switch. No internet, no radio, no internal communications. It wasn't just an attack, it was a neural intrusion, one that would knock out the enemy before they even knew they were being hunted.
Allahu Akbar Daraya.
And then, 12 minutes before the attack began, the entire Yemeni military communications network went dark, as if someone had flipped a switch. No internet, no radio, no internal communications. It wasn't just an attack, it was a neural intrusion, one that would knock out the enemy before they even knew they were being hunted. The Crimson Vortex didn't just shake the terrain of Yemen. It set off a geopolitical earthquake that rippled across the planet. Within hours of the attack, global oil markets were shaken. While Yemen is not a major oil producer, it controls the western side of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a maritime choke point through which nearly 10% of the world's oil passes. When a Houthi spokesman declared that any vessel assisting the United States will be a legitimate target, shipping lines rerouted, and marine insurance premiums skyrocketed. Within 24 hours, crude oil prices had climbed to $128 a barrel, sending shockwaves from Wall Street to Tokyo. Meanwhile, political capitals were reeling. At the United Nations, an emergency session of the Security Council turned into a war of words. Russia and Iran denounced the attack as imperialist. China warned of unforeseen consequences. And France and Germany, despite concerns about the Houthi as chemical weapons, called for a ceasefire and humanitarian aid. At the same time, Iran sent ships to the Strait of Hormuz. Hezbollah signaled its readiness to cooperate, and aid agencies sounded the alarm about the risk of water, food, and medical shortages for more than 1 million Yemeni civilians. The Crimson Vortex, while a decisive military victory, did not end with the destruction of the bunker. It set off an unprecedented global chain reaction. The world did not ask, "What happened?" It began to tremble at the question, "What will happen next?"